Hello, I'm Regina Mccann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, we have another new guest with us, and I'm really excited for you to meet her. And Kelly, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Sure. So I am Kelly Robinson, and I'm the founder of a company called Panna Knows. We help our client partners attract and retain top talent. I also do coaching and training as well for recruiters and leaders within recruitment. So I am a business owner, but first a mother to a son that's 11. He's an only boy, an only child, I should say, and yes, of course, an only boy. But he he is sometimes mature in certain ways, like very mature, like business, like he can, we can talk about it, and then also very immature in some
Mm.
way. So it's always fun and interesting with him. There's never a dull moment around here. What do I love about what I do? Right, that was the
Yeah, yeah.
so I've been in and around recruiting and hiring for over 20 years, and the way that I have done it is not within a corporate setting. It's usually some kind of external recruiting resource, or maybe like an in-source. So a company that might use a company like mine to come in and help them more as consultants to build strategy, process, and recruiting.
Hmm.
So for me to be able to do that, I've been able to grow like tremendously as a professional, because I get to see different environments, different people, different industries, different jobs, different, you name it. Um, so that has helped me to give me like a whole new perspective on the world and recruiting, really,
Yeah.
um, which has been great. So I love that the opportunity to learn has really kind of helped to accelerate my growth.
Yeah. And so you have a couple different facets of your business and a pretty amazing stuff going on over there. And I do remember from our other conversation that you love to coach as well. Like that side of the business may, you know, twinkle your eye a little bit extra.
That's my passion. So the last company that I was in, everyone, all the recruiters had reported to me. So there might have been like 40 or 45 people. And so we weren't training people on how to be recruiters, because we're bringing in experienced recruiters, just like I do now.
Hmm.
But I had the chance to start really working with people, and more of a, when you have that many direct reports, you can't be training and like in the nitty gritty. But what I got to do is have one-on-ones with them every week, and it was more about, what are your challenges, what can I help you with, what have your wins been this week? So more coaching, and I just have really really loved that. And now I have a coaching program that's really for mid and senior level and leaders within the recruiting field. So I it's supporting, advising, and my coaching program is amazing. I keep, I hear like, we set goals, and by the end of the month, these folks are meeting those goals, right? So we're working one on one and in groups, and it's I love hearing, whatever we set out to do, they're doing.
Hmm.
I love it. I love hearing it and seeing it, and they feel good.
Yeah.
It's my passion. I love
Yeah,
it.
I definitely feel that. How do they find you when they need someone like you? How do they find you for that?
So, a couple different ways. I do a lot on LinkedIn. Most of the folks that have used and worked with me in coaching and training have been through my network for many, many years. So, the coaching is more for senior level folks, the mid and senior, just because there's no training on recruiting there. They know what they're doing. Um, and so a lot of those folks have either worked with me before, and come back to me, or just I've networked with at some point. And then the training, that's more the junior and mid-level. So that's also through my network, but it's usually not directly the teams of people that I'm training and putting through that program.
Mhm.
It's my network is usually the leaders, um, of the students
Oh, cool. All right.
that I would have, because the training is really more uh, training on process and philosophy, my philosophy, um, and things like that, tools. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
More
Wow. That's pretty
technical.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you've been in this field for a pretty long time. Maybe you could share with us some of the challenges that you've faced as a professional woman.
Um, yeah, lots of challenges.
Hmm.
I can tell you before, regardless of being a woman or not, like just being a recruiter is a challenge in and of itself. I was just on there's a board that I run, and I was just on a board meeting this morning, and they were talking about someone was talking about kind of a scam, or like how recruiters are reaching out, and so there's a lot of kind of a stigma around recruiters in a negative way, so that can be very difficult. um, and then sometimes throw being a female on top of that, it's a double whammy. But so for me, I don't know that I've had a ton of challenges being a woman in business. I look at um, just being a person. But I will tell you, when I was younger, I would in my 20s, and even probably part of my early 30s, um, I went to Brooks Brothers and I got the Brooks Brothers suit and the button down shirts. And that's what I wore to work every day. Um, and I wasn't an executive. I was a team member, and that's what I was wearing because I wanted to be seen in the way of which I wanted to grow. But that's what the men were doing. And it was a man's world back then. It's anyone can do anything now, but it was more of a man's world. So I felt like I needed to be seen like that.
Yeah.
um so good or bad, I don't know, but I got to where I wanted to be by working really hard too, not just by how I was dressing, but working really hard. And so I went to work for a woman-owned company. I'm now a woman-owned company. I love to work with other woman-owned companies or minorities, which is great. But I work with anyone. I don't personally see that. I just
Yeah.
I'm not intentionally seeking out certain things. It's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear what you're saying about dressing in those suits, and because I started way back at Merrill Lynch, and we had to
Uh,
wear a suit, so it was almost like though you were dressing for your role or for your next role.
yep.
And there's nothing better than building your career on a good hard work ethic.
Yeah.
So you can gain a lot by that, for sure.
I did that uh, to build credibility, and I worked really hard.
Hmm.
So I was taken seriously, more seriously than if I had not done that, probably.
Right.
Right. Because I was showing up as more of a corporate looking type of person. So that was definitely helpful. Um, would I do it again? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays it would be different, but that
Yeah.
was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
nowadays, it would be different.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool though too, because will we do it again? Yeah, because that's how we know it. But the fact that the younger people today don't have to do it the same way, I think is a great thing, because that means we've paved the road for them, just like some of the road was paved for us before.
Yeah.
And I know International Women's Day is in March. So I'm kind of like thinking along those lines, like all the things that those women did for us,
Yep.
like they didn't have the same rights even that we did, or the same opportunities that we did. And now the younger generation after us is also having these better opportunities. So it's good to kind of see that flow through, I think.
It's so different. It's so different. Like even my mother, who was a school teacher and then stayed home to raise the four of us and then went back to teach. I mean, I guess, so back then that was one of the professions that women really did. Um, but it's still interesting that I I am of the generation where most of the mothers of my friends didn't work.
Okay.
They weren't working, they were still home. There was some working, but not as much. It wasn't as it wasn't like expected. Now people just want it. Women
Yeah.
just want to work. They want to have their own independence, and there isn't a thought of um, it's the same thing with going to college. Like I always say, uh, kids these days, it's not are you going to college, it's where are you going to college.
It's
My,
expected.
that's right. Back in my day, it was, are you going to go to college?
Yeah.
It was very, very different. So this is how, things evolve, um, over time. And the same thing with working mothers.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a whole different point of view. And a lot of men have the point of view too, that they want their wife to work or their partner to work, or so it's
Yeah.
a whole different world, and it just keeps evolving. And you're right, we're paving the way for other people, which is really great. Like I hope the world is has come a lot further by the time my son gets to be an adult.
Yeah. 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 Wow. And it's like, and that's the other thing, like being a working mom, that adds another layer of, we got to got to overcome that obstacle too. Not that our children are not our obstacles, but it's hard
Yeah.
when you have a career and you're also, having to take care of little ones or bigger ones or whatever it is. But, by the time you get to your job, your career, your work, your first job, you've already had a job at home that you had to do, and you get to work, and then you're doing your second job.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
whereas, years ago, people didn't do that. So it's a challenge for, I know, all parents.
Well, and what's interesting is my both of those jobs are all here right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's all it's all like, he's here. He's
Yep.
here. He's in his, I had to get him in like an office in his room, like a whole setup with a desk and everything. So he's got his whole thing too, which is fascinating. And it's hard sometimes. I make time for him, and as an entrepreneur, that's something that's been available to me because I can make those decisions, which is really nice. And so I really prioritize making sure that at night we're sitting down and we're doing something.
Yeah.
We watch Seinfeld, we watch all different stuff, but like, and he loves it.
That's
Um,
cool.
Comedians, or, we just are doing something. We're working on building a business for him right now. So that kind of thing. I just try to make time. Whereas before, I always had that guilt because I was just, I was that mom that was like, it was like, 5:58 p.m. and I'm pulling up to daycare.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That closes at 6,
Understand that.
and I walk in and he's like, "Hey, mom," and there's no other kids.
Oops. Sorry.
Yeah, I decided to change that a few years ago. So I put him on the bus and got him off the bus. And so I keep, that's just how I work now.
Good for you. Good for you.
I
And then
prioritize.
that kind of is like part of the pandemic conversation. What has changed for you for work for the pandemic? But obviously, it had a good home life impact for you as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. So for the business in the first 2 months of the pandemic, I think like most people, everyone was like, freeze, we don't know what to do. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what this is. So for me, business almost stopped.
Mm.
So, I was like, all right, well, I've got to try to figure out something else. So I did put something else into play, another business, not another business, another service line for my business, which was really great. And it was all about like pipelining, right? So I have a recruiting company, and people would say, well, I'm not hiring. Well, that's okay. But when you're ready to hire, you want to be able to hire like that. So let's
Yeah.
start pipelining for some of your evergreen openings. So I figured out a way to, a good fee for that. And I was able to start ramping up on that. And then the end of the year, everything kind of exploded. Like I was saying before we started recording, by the end of March, I will have uh, met 2020's entire revenue, which was a really good year for us.
That's awesome.
So
That is awesome. Congratulations.
yeah, we're thriving in that way. And the business is thriving definitely because I have a business partner that I brought on in the summer of last year. But then you go to the whole hybrid schooling, but also virtual work. So we've always been virtual, which is great. But there was always times when I would need to go meet clients and things like that. And so what I found is being all virtual, I'm getting so much more done. Clients, things are they're more sped up because I'm not having to like go visit people.
Yeah.
I can get more in. I can be more effective. I have more time with Eric, my son. So that's been really good. Like, it's not always great. He needs to be out and be social, like for him. But for me, for work, it's been great. It's fine. I feel very lucky because I know there's some people that have gone through some tremendous issues on loss and illness and things like that with the pandemic. But I have to say, like, so far so good.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I think we can agree. One of my favorite things of working from home was, being very casually dressed and comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy. Like, it's just, I love that you just go and you're yourself. And what it does is it makes people real
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
genuine
Yeah.
and down to earth, which is my personality anyway. So I love that I get to see people more in that environment.
Mhm.
This morning I was on that board call, and I hear someone speaking, and I hear a little daddy.
Aw.
And he was like, don't worry about it. It's adorable. Like, I love that.
Yeah. It humanizes us all, right?
Yes.
We're
And
not robots. We're
that,
not just workers. We're human beings and we have families.
that's what I love about it. It's like you're seeing whole people, like their lives and everything. And that wasn't acceptable before.
Yeah. Right.
Now it's like, oh, hey, who's that? Hey, hi,
Bring them into the meeting.
yes. Yeah, we say hello. Like, the cat's crawling across the desk. Or whatever. Like, that stuff was not okay before.
No, for sure. And I'm glad it is because my German Shepherd usually wiggles his way into the computer screen somehow. Oh my gosh. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I'm having a professional conversation. Don't worry about the dog.
well, and it creates less stress around that. It's just something we don't have to think of because it's not a concern if the dog comes in.
Exactly.
Whereas before you might have been having like a miniature meltdown. Like, how do I get this dog? Like, what am I? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so funny.
A whole different world.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I know you're working hard and building your company and doing amazing things. But let's fast forward multiple years and tell me what your vision of your retirement looks like.
I don't think I'll ever fully retire. I'll always need to be doing something. But what I would like to do is I would like to be able to continue really the coaching, which is what I just love. And I would do that all the time. I just probably won't take as many clients at some point. But I would love to just continue to do that. I would love my business to still be thriving with my partner leading the way there. As she builds her right hand and that person builds their right hand, which we're working on now. And I would love to be living in somewhere warm.
Ah, yes.
And what I would really, really like is a condo in Miami. Did I tell you this when we spoke on the phone?
No, good choice though. I like it. I love warm.
I love Miami. To me is so fun. And I love the sun and the heat. And Miami has the pace that I like and the nightlife that I like. So just like nice dinners and things like that is really fun. Whereas other parts of Florida are a little bit calmer and quieter, and I like the action, but I like the warmth. And and then probably a condo here or somewhere wherever my son decides to go live, I would do. And then I would move around and I would travel, and you can work from anywhere. So
That's the one thing that the COVID taught us. We can work from anywhere.
anywhere.
Love it.
I did too, because before we would have clients that would say like, well, aren't you going to come in and get a blah, 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 blah. Don't you have to do recruiting on site? And I never believed you had to, but now it's like very clear that this is what we do. It's always behind the scenes. It's not
Yeah.
in your office. Yeah.
Yeah. It is actually a great lesson for a lot of people. I never would have dreamed I'd be able to work from home or work from a shore house or anything like that. And I actually felt guilty when I would try to do that. Like, oh, I should be in the office. It doesn't matter where you are. You're doing what you need to do. It doesn't matter where you are. Just do what you got to do.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if our viewers wanted to find more out about you, your company, and the services that you provide, where would they go to find that?
They could find me on LinkedIn, Kelly Robinson, and they could always go to my website. It's pannaknows.com. It's PANNAKNOWS.com. There's a way to reach out to me directly, and we can talk through some of the different programs that we have and the different things that we can offer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And your website's pretty cool, by the way. I like your website.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Work in progress always, but
Yeah. I hear you. Well, I want to thank everyone else for joining us. Thank you, Kelly, for joining us. It was a great conversation as always. And I look forward to hearing more about your business growth, because that's exciting.
Thank you. Thanks, Regina. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. Again, this is Regina Mccann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. Thanks for joining us for Women in Wealth. And my website is forgewealth.com. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and on LinkedIn, Regina Mccann Hess. Thanks. Have a great day.